Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. I was planning to look at... I had plans for this week. I was planning to look at maybe the Alba, or maybe do another take at the Oktyabrskyya, because she just came out in the 21st birthday of Wargaming event. But then Wargaming decided to put light cruisers live. And, I mean, they had light cruisers for USN, but now they put more USN light cruisers live. So, here we are. And we're going to be talking about the American Light Cruiser Tech Tree. It's been a while since we've done a proper Tech Tree talk, so let's go and have a look. This rather colorful thing over here, this is the Tier 6, the Dallas. But we're not really going to start at the Tier 6. We're going to be starting at Tier 4. Because this actually is the first light cruiser you can get in the US Navy cruiser lines, the Phoenix. Now, what's the Phoenix like? She's a typical light cruiser. She doesn't have any hit points. She doesn't have any armor. She is very quick, and she is very maneuverable. Basically, this is an oversized destroyer with lots of guns. She has 10 152mm guns. And these 152mm guns are not actually terrible for Tier 4. They reload reasonably fast with 7 seconds. Obviously, the drawback is that these are single-mounted guns. So you can never, I think, get more than 6 firing at the enemy at the same time. So effectively, you have 6 of them. Just that occasionally you fire them from the other side. But still, that's not absolutely terrible for Tier 4, because also you get a decent turret traverse and you get torpedo tubes. So these are American torpedoes. They are not super high in terms of damage, but they reload reasonably fast. They've got a range of 5.4 kilometers, and you've got a triple launcher on each side. So this isn't a huge amount, but you can, you've got a lot of guns to play with, and you can pass your time between torpedoes while you're waiting for the reload to, set things on fire or make destroyers' lives very miserable. So we've got a fast, lightly armored, low health, very big destroyer with a citadel, lots of guns, and a relatively small amount of torpedoes. She has a bit of anti-air and a concealment of 7 without any modifications. Now, this is not a terrible ship, other than what people might say. And this continues in Tier 5 with the Omaha. I have enjoyed these ships, to be honest. I really don't mind either of these two. The Omaha is having a bit more health, a bit more hit points. She still has absolutely no armor whatsoever. So you give broadside in this thing, you're dead. But you're a Tier 5, so you're not really going to see that many heavy cruisers, and so you just got to dodge battleship shots whenever they come around. She's still reasonably fast. She has an amazing turn radius. This thing is basically, again, an oversized destroyer. She actually gets 2 turrets with twin guns, one fore and one aft. And she has a couple of single-mounted guns all around. So you get more. I think you get 8 guns to fire, which is one at one side, which is 1 gun less than you get, say, on the Königsberg or on the French one. But again, they're relatively good guns. They've got a range of 10.5 kilometers. They've got a reload time of 7 seconds, and they have a reasonable turret traverse speed. And you get 2 quad launchers of torpedoes with a faster reload, 34 seconds, 6 kilometers range, which is also decent. And you are super maneuverable in this thing and quick. And you're playing at Tier 5. You actually get a relatively decent anti-air in this thing as well. You get the air defense alert here at this point. And surface detection of 7 kilometers is nothing to sneeze at either, because you can still put modules in and camo. So this was an enjoyable ship to play when I was grinding through the American tech tree. Then in the traditional tech tree at Tier 6, you switched over to the Pensacola, which is a heavy cruiser. And that used to be it, right? So you used to stop there with the light cruisers, and from Tier 6 on, you would play heavy cruisers all the way up to the Des Moines, which I have made a series about. But now we have 3 more light cruisers, starting at Tier 6 with the Dallas, and then going through 7 and 8. And so far we're not seeing anything beyond Tier 8. I don't know if that's still going to come, but let's check these 3 light cruisers out. So in Tier 6 we've got the Dallas, and again, very colorful camouflage, because I've got that currently unlocked, so I just might as well be using it. She has still not a huge amount of hit points, but while she's a light cruiser, she is decently, for a light cruiser, decently armored, I'd say. But again, you can't give broadside in these things at all. Speed is about the same. The turn time was getting worse on this ship a little bit, so I had to modify a little bit with modules to get that down. But still, 6.5 seconds is not great, but it's acceptable. The guns. She has 152mm guns, 2 twin turrets and 2 triple turrets. So you have 10 guns on the primaries. The reload went down from the Omaha at tier 5, because we're now at, even with the reload module, we're at 8 seconds. The range went down from the Omaha. We're now at only 10 kilometers. These guns are special. When we get to that in a second. She doesn't have torpedoes anymore, which is a bit of a bummer, because I really enjoy playing light cruisers with torpedoes, because that's one reason why I like light cruisers, because they have they're very vulnerable, but they're maneuverable, they're fast, and they have an extremely high DPS, because you have usually an almost destroyer-like loadout on torpedoes, and you have lots and lots of very, very good guns that you can use while your torpedoes are reloading. So that is what I like playing light cruisers as. I like to play them aggressively. I like to use them to dominate positions. I like to use them to chase destroyers away. This thing has secondary guns. I mean, they're not terrible. I mean, given that the main guns are 152s, they've got 127mm destroyer as secondaries. So there's a whole bunch of them. They've got a 6-second reload and a 5.7 kilometer range. So in effect, I mean, if you look at the damage, the high explosive damage is at 345 and at 460 on the primaries. So in effect, you've got a couple more guns, and I think you get 4 of them pointing at one side. I'm not 100% sure, because they are reasonably mounted, that they can swing either way around. So, lots of guns. The anti-air got a lot better in this ship, and she again gets the air defense alert consumable, so we've got a relatively decent anti-air. And the surface detection got worse. We're now at 8 kilometers. So this is a change from the Omaha. Omaha basically being a large destroyer, to this being a very different cruiser design. And we get to the Dallas in more detail in a minute, but let's look at the Brooklyn first. Now the Brooklyn gets sonar. So you start seeing a pattern here. She is a support cruiser. She has a lot of guns, and her turn time is okay, not bad really, for a tier 7 cruiser. 31 knots is okay as well. She gets 5 triple turrets with 152mm guns, and they look to be about the exact same guns as we had on the Dallas. The range of 9.3 kilometers is terrifyingly bad, I would say, but we'll get to that in a second. Everything else is kind of average about these guns, and again, she gets a lot of secondaries. The anti-aircraft armament is a little bit better even still, and the surface detection is a bit worse. But we do get the sonar, so we're starting to see a pattern here in that these are meant to be escort and support ships. So you're supposed to stick with something that has bigger guns than you and needs protection, like battleships and such, and keep planes away from them and keep destroyers away from them. That's basically your role in these things. Which brings us to tier 8, to the Cleveland. And she gets 3 ship skills, which is relatively unusual in the tech tree. She gets a air defense alert 2, which is quite powerful. And she gets 2 charges for the sonar and 2 radar charges. Now the radar on this thing has a 7.2 kilometer range. And something we'll get to in a minute. Health-wise, getting a bit better also in terms of armor. She is relatively maneuverable, 6.69 seconds base. She's actually the most maneuverable out of the box out of the 3 of them. So 4 turrets, we lose 1 turret, but in return the reload has gone down massively to 6.5 seconds. 9.9 kilometers base range. Ugh. not grand, really. And we get 6 twin turrets on the secondaries with a 6-second reload with the destroyer guns. And a very, very respectable anti-aircraft armament, and a surface detection of 8.5 kilometers. So radar 7.2, surface detection 8.5, you might be able to just get her surface detection down to radar range. So this opens up a whole lot of possibilities, which means you can early detect. For example, you could detect when you get detected, but you can't see something. So when you get outspotted, that would be a good time to use your radar, because you know that there's going to be a destroyer within your radar range. Stuff like that. So there are some interesting capabilities with this. The one big drawback, again for me, is that none of these things have any torpedoes. And this brings us to the guns. Now, let's get back to the Dallas, because I haven't actually played the other ships, so I can't really tell how they play. But I've played the Dallas quite a bit over the past couple of days, and I can say a little bit about how she plays. So, these guns. Let's compare them with the other Tier 6 cruisers, shall we? So, we open that here, and we look at our guns. We've got 460 HE damage, 552 AP damage. This is actually, and 4% chance of setting fire. These are some of the worst 150mm mains in the light cruiser lines, right? The Nürnberg has a better range, and while she has an even worse HE damage, she has a vastly superior armor-piercing damage. And also the shells are a lot better. The Wanghae basically has the same guns. I mean, she only gets 6 of them, but with a faster reload. And she has a 6% chance of setting fire, plus she has a smoke screen as far as I remember. The de Grasse has much better high explosive damage, and if you compare it, she even has better armor-piercing damage, and she has a better fire chance, almost double. Plus she's got an almost 11-kilometer range and a faster reload, with only 1 gun less. And La Galissonière is similar to that setup. She's got better range, she has not quite twice, but just 1.5 times the fire chance, and better damage both in high explosive and in armor piercing. So I would almost argue that these guns are, when it comes to damage output, about the worst in the Tier 6 light cruisers that I can see. And I don't have the Soviet, the Budyonny, I don't have it here, but she also has much better fire chance. So obviously what you're supposed to be doing with this ship is to, sorry, let me switch off that battle invite for a sec. Okay, there we go. Sorry for that. Just because you can't, it's not that I don't want to play with anyone, but you know, I'm recording, so you can't see the ship when the invite's in front of it. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. So the guns, they have a very, very high firing arc, which means you can fire behind islands. And this, if you watch the promotional video about the light cruiser lines, that's actually something that Wargaming points out. So they're like, oh, you can hide behind islands, and you can lob shells over islands, and you can set battleships on fires and burn them down. Yes, but the super high firing arc actually means that these guns have a terribly slow shell velocity, and also their dispersion is really, really not that great. It's actually quite hard to hit anything with these things at range, and their penetration power is not good. I haven't managed to get a penetration with the high explosive shells. I only get semi-pens, and the armor piercing is effective, but only at ranges of 6 kilometers or less. So yes, you could rain armor piercing down on. That's what I thought, right? You could rain armor piercing down on enemy ships at range, because you've got the high shell arc, and you'd hit the superstructure. But they've lost so much power that they're actually either bouncing or just doing semi-pins. Whereas if you shoot at 6 kilometers or less, they've actually managed to citadel a Fuso that way, because they still have the high arc even at 6 kilometers, and they can actually rain in. But I am severely struggling to get the damage output that I need from a light cruiser with the way I'm playing them. I'm really struggling to get like past 40,000-45,000 damage in a game, which means that this isn't a ship that I can't carry with. I need to, it really is an escort cruiser, and I need to have a team that plays along. That's when she shines. If you have to, if the team decides to let the enemy get all the caps and hang back, you're the only one who actually goes forward and to do something. You don't have the DPS to dominate a capture point, and you don't have the survivability either. So I have been frustrated with this ship, to be honest, and this is what this says something with me saying that about a light cruiser, but I'm not super excited about her. But anyway, I don't want to be too negative. So let's just play a couple of rounds, and I'll show you what I mean, and you can get a better idea, and make up your own mind. Maybe it's just me. Let's do this. Actually, before we do this, sorry, I completely forgot. What equipment do I have in this thing? Yeah, let's do this quickly. So, equipment. I've gone with the main battery reload mod because the gun reload, the base reload was really not acceptable. I would have probably taken the turret traverse, or I would have taken the precision mod because I'm not happy with the dispersion. But since it's tier 6, it's not available. So main battery reload mod it is. I have the propulsion mod in slot 2 because she was very, very slow to get off the ground. And if I need to, burn down battleships and I need to play with speed, I really need a ship that can stop and start again relatively quickly so I can move around between salvos to dodge them. And the last slot goes into the steering gear mod because she wasn't as nimble as she should have been. And I think she still isn't quite as good as the Nuremberg in this. Let me quickly check. That's 6.5 and the Nuremberg gets a 5.7. Yep. Well, that's because the Nuremberg has 2 steering gear mods in it. But anyway, that's it for equipment. Supplies, just standard loadout. I have the crew rations. I've actually got the high grade coal for surface detection, because I do want to try and get into position quicker. It is completely valid to use the preventative maintenance pack because she does get hurt quite easily, and the refined easel for ship speed. For my captain skills, this is actually a new commander because the other one's busy in the Des Moines. So he's got the 2 base skills for torpedoes, the artillery maintenance, because this dispersion is bad enough as it is. For this ship, I probably would have gone with Victorious Charge, but I'm setting him up for air defense expert for the higher tier ships. Then the survivalist would have kind of been nice, but I do like the Daredevil better because I tend to be low on health in light cruisers towards the end of the battle, and this can make the difference between being able to survive and not being able to survive. And probably down the road, the IFHE skill is what I would be keen on. But again, IFHE is miles away. So let's see if I ever get there with these kind of ships. Okay, that out of the way now. Let's go and actually play a battle. Sorry for that. Okay, we're top tier. 2 battleships and 1 Nicholas that we need to care about. And the Pensacola, which is bad news for us, because that thing fires relatively rapidly with 200mm shells, and they can get through. So, what are we going to do here? Oh, Scorching Islands, there's plenty of cruisers on the right flank, so I'm just going to stay left. I'm going to stick with high explosive first, because the armor piercing is really just effective at ranges of 6 kilometers or less. So we've got a 10-kilometer range with these, which isn't great, but we'll have to do. And we're going to see if we can probably find ourselves an island that we can use for a bit of cover. I usually push up to the next island up there, but it's relatively hard to disengage if you're that far forward. And my team, like that Okotnik there, seems to be wanting to just hang back. So my team doesn't seem to be really that interested in pushing forward. Okay, I'm detected, so there's a DD around here, so I'm gonna have to move because there will be torpedoes in the water. Okay, for Taka, let's start opening up since we're detected anyway. Okay, there's the Nicholas. speed out. And we're going to switch over to armor piercing at that distance and use the secondaries as well. Okay, at this distance even this ship can't miss. But the shells take an awful lot of time. Okay, are you firing torpedoes or not? Because I'm not seeing any. Alright then. The shells take a long... Where are the torps? Oh, okay, yeah, I know, I was there a couple of minutes ago, but not anymore. Okay. The shells do take a long time to get across. So Nicholas has got torps on both sides, so we're going to have to turn. Yep, I know. Use the secondaries on the other side, and that should be the end of him. Okay. That's one down. Alright, back to the high explosive. Okay, the two battleships have pushed forward, and we've completely obliterated that Nicholas. Which means we're probably going to change sides, because they seem to be rather happy there with the one cruiser. The two battleships can take care of, what is that, Pensacola? So we've got two battleships and a cruiser on the other side, and just one DD and one cruiser on, from our team. So let's move to engage, well, whatever the balls that is up there. It might take a while to get across. So in the meantime, we'll do some experimentation with the shell arc. So look at how high the shells are going, and look at how long it's taking them to get there. There we go. My guns are reloaded by the time the shells make it there. And that's not because the ship has a particular fast reload. It's because the shells take forever. So take that into account when you're giving lead. These shells take ages to get there. There's a battleship somewhere there, and the Okhotnik is close. There's a Dunkirk. Can I lob this? Well, let's find out. We should be able to. I just need the lock on, and I have no idea where... Yeah, there you go. See, this is kind of thing. And now I'm unspotted. And I can actually lob shells at that Dunkirk over there. This is exactly... So ideally I'd stop here, but this Dunkirk's dead anyway. So I need to get into range. I need to get in range of that other cruiser. But you see how I'm not spotted, right? That's because the island is in the way between me and the Dunkirk in terms of direct lines of sight. Okay, there's two battleships. They can mop up the rest of the Dunkirk. There's a Marblehead which needs my help. But look at what the shells are doing, right? They're all... I'm not getting a single fire there. She's dead. That leaves the Julio Cesare there. Okay, we're going to switch her into reverse because I don't want to get any closer to that thing. Let's see if he's actually going to target me. And look where these shells are going. They're going everywhere. Oh, yes, he has figured out which way I'm going. Okay, there we go. High explosive penetration at almost 7.5 kilometers. Okay, we need to disengage. The problem is... I need to wait for his next salvo to come through before I do that. So let's just slow down again. Yeah, ouch. Okay, he knows what I'm doing, which means he's in secondary range, but I can't turn. So he can totally citadel me from the front, and I'm actually at this point going to switch over to the armor piercing. Because I'm not getting a fire anyway. The fire chance is really so ridiculously low on these things. He overshot. There we go. Okay, fire chance is so ridiculously low on these things. And the armor piercing actually does reliable damage at this range. Okay. Can I lob? No, I can't lob this anymore. Okay, let's use this to disengage and see if we can get away from him before he bluffs me in the side. Hopefully... Ow! Okay, there we go. One fire. That was from the secondaries. Actually, can I have my rear guns back, please? We're cupping this out anyway. I'm just trying to stay alive here for the rest of the battle. Okay, now we need to switch over to high explosive again. And at this range, we should be hopefully able to dodge his shells, mostly, yep. And we lost another gun turret, and we actually need to stop going forward because actually let me heal up because yes, you see the armor piercing is no longer effective at this range. I need to switch back to the high explosive, and we capped him out. So I would have survived this probably because I think he overshot again. But that's the thing, right? With a French light cruiser, in this kind of situation, I would have totally been able to torpedo him, to reverse away, to still get 6 guns on target. I would have had him set on fire 3 times by at this point. Not so much with this thing. So you see I've done 32,000 damage, which is still highest damage in the team, but I mean I'm top tier, so that's expected. And I'm not too happy with this number. So let's do another round and see if we can play a little bit differently, better. We'll find out. Okay, bottom tier. There's a Hood, a Bayern, a New Mexico, 2 Nürnbergs, an Aka and a Mayhem. Oh dear. And we're playing Golden Channel, which means there isn't a huge amount of concealment available. I might really have to hang back with this thing. Problem is she doesn't have the range to hang back, because everything and their grandmother outranges this ship in this game. Anyway, we might have to stick to the island on the left here and see that we can try and carefully nose forward
Capture the target area
and see what we can do. But the other thing, right, in a French cruiser, for example, I would have 6 guns pointing forwards and 3 on the rear turret. This thing, I get 5 guns pointing forward. So if I'm bow in, and you see the angles aren't great, if I'm bow in, I can only fire 5 guns. So I've got 1 gun less than, say, La Galissonière. Or with a Nürnberg, I'd use the rear turrets, because she's got the twin turrets in the rear. All these kind of things are things that you can do with the other cruisers, and where she falls behind. Okay, I should be able to lob this from here, so I'm just going to stop here and see if the CV can spot something for me.
target spotted.
And he does. That's the Aka. So Aka goes left, which means we're gonna have to reposition that. There's the Mayhem. Where's the Mayhem going? Can we fire at the Mayhem without getting spotted? Yeah, that we can. Alright, so you can... I need more lead. Nope, I'm spotted. Mayhem. Light cruiser, Nürnberg. Okay. Oh, we hit something. 2 hits. Okay, can we hit the Nürnberg from here? Is the Aka sneaking around? Yeah, 5 hits out of 10 at 8-kilometer range. That's kind of, look at the dispersion of these things. They're going everywhere. Up now, the Aka is not going around. There's the Akatsuki. Yep, that's what we're trying to do. I'm just relocating to get some shots into that Nürnberg over here. And the Aka comes around this way as well.
Defend the area.
Oh, they're both coming around this way. Okay. Armor piercing loaded. And we're not hitting anything from here. Okay. Let's see if we can hit the Akatsuki. 3 hits. Disappointing. Okay, let's use the island as concealment, as hardcover, sorry. And see if we can hit that Mayhem from here. See, that's the problem with hitting destroyers. While 150mm guns are usually quite effective against destroyers, but you just don't. The dispersion screws you over there, really. Okay, there's the Akatsuki. I'm gonna have to actually run for it from here. Okay, where are the Akatorps? Yeah. Okay, full speed ahead. Let's dodge the Aka's torps and see that we can end his life. Okay, and full on the brakes and hard right, because I'm pretty sure the Mayan has been firing torps as well. Okay, Aka should be on reload. Where are the Mayhem torps? Oh, they overshot, yeah. Come on, give me a visual on the Aka, okay. If I could hit anything with these guns, goodness gracious. And they're not punchy enough again. Come on. That should be the Aka down. Okay, that's 1. Number 2 is you. Really, why would 2 DDs... Okay, there's the Mayhem torps. So we gotta dodge these. That's fine. Unless he did 2 spreads. Why would 2 DDs go for a light cruiser? That's beyond me. Couldn't even outrun this one. Hey, come on, turn! Okay, we're getting dangerously close here. Full speed ahead. Yeah, he had another set, but I can survive one. And now he should be out. Oh, that's 2. Crap. Where is he? Where are you? Gotcha. Okay. Whew. Alright. You see, this is much more trouble than I should have with a light cruiser dealing with 2 DDs, which are wanting to get into a close-range knife fight. Any other ship, any other light cruiser, like a Galicianaire or a Nürnberg, I would have shredded these guys minutes ago. Okay, and now we're so far out of the fight that that we're probably not going to do much of a contribution anymore. So light cruisers should be the bane of every destroyer, and the fact that these 2 guys were rushing me is probably down to that I don't have torpedoes, and they know that. They know that I only have my guns to work with, and that I don't have the DPS to dispatch them quickly enough. So they thought they could, they thought they could take me on. And actually, where am I going? We're just going to stay here, because we only have 30 seconds. We have about 900 health. There's no point of me going anywhere. We're controlling the cup anyway. We're not going to help our team anymore from here. We're just going to die, which costs us points. So, usually 2 destroyers will not rush a light cruiser, even if they're top tier. That's suicidal. If I was in a Nürnberg, they wouldn't have done that. If I was in a Galicianaire, they wouldn't have done that. Have you seen how they were driving in a straight line? I would have torped the crap out of the 2 of them. The Mayhem was a bit better than the Akka. But in this thing, they know I don't have torpedoes. They know I don't have the DPS to make short work of them. So they think, okay, I'm probably going to lose half my health, but I can torp this light cruiser. And it's a light cruiser. It doesn't have much it can't tank anything. So they thought, they can do away with me. So, yeah, that is the Dallas. Verdict time. How do we do? Oh, we got to struggle for our troubles. But given that we were bottom tier, we actually didn't do too terribly. But it's the damage numbers. It's the damage numbers that I can't really get in with this ship so far. The high explosive doesn't work well enough to use her as an HC spammer. The armor piercing is too weak to use. You actually have to be careful which one you use. So rule set for me is kind of the inverse almost from what I would do with a heavy cruiser. So on close range, 6 kilometers and under, I would use the armor piercing. At longer ranges, I will use the high explosive, because I've bounced armor piercing shells over Minsk at 8 kilometers without problems. It's bounced, not penetrated, not even semi-pen, not over-pen, no, bounced over Minsk. And I've Citadel de Fuso at 6 kilometers because of the angles. So the guns are interesting, to say the least. The high explosive is disappointing in terms of setting fires, and you're totally not having the DPS to deal with to be aggressive in the ship. So you can deal with DDs relatively successfully. You just have to be on your toes for torpedo dodging. You can anything bigger, battleships, is a freaking struggle. I have huge amounts of problems with battleships with this thing, in just that I can't torp them, I can't burn them down, and the high explosive does almost no damage. So I am not super thrilled about the Dallas. She's a bit of a fizzle, really. But the Brooklyn looks very interesting. She kind of looks like a tier 7 Mogami minus the torps. Because who needs torps? And the Cleveland looks very interesting. So I might eventually, well, either I free XP my way up to the Brooklyn, or I'll bite the bullet and grind another 50k through. I'll probably free XP that. But because there's a lot of competition with very good light cruisers around at tier 6. She struggles fighting over Leander. Anyway, so that's the Dallas. Don't let her disappoint you. I think the next ships are going to be much better. I hope. They, at least by their numbers, they look better. It'll really come down to how the guns behave. If the shell velocity gets any better, if the arcs get The arcs I don't mind, but the shell velocity is terrible. And if the dispersion gets a bit better. Because if I only got 10 guns and I only hit 5 shells with every salvo at 7-8 kilometers, then yeah, it's not really that great in terms of firepower what I can dish out. Anyway, that's the Dallas, and now you know, and knowing's half the battle. So that's it for today, and I'll see you all next time. I'll be having another video out for this week. I haven't made up my mind yet what it's going to be, but there will be a second video coming out on the weekend. So a smaller one, but yes, there will be. Anyway, that's it for this week, for today. See ya, everybody. See you next time. Bye.